Tonight on UCTV News, coronavirus concerns. What has UConn done to nearly 100 students studying abroad in Italy?
Plus, the voice of over 20,000 UConn students. Meet the two UConn students vying for a spot at the student representative on the UConn Board of Trustees.
As the coronavirus is getting closer and closer to Connecticut, let's see how UConn is preparing for the pandemic. The states surrounding Connecticut have had confirmed cases of the coronavirus. UConn is taking steps to determine the best possible way to keep the students safe and healthy. UConn has been working closely with state leaders and the local health district on the coronavirus planning. UConn also has a group of people at various levels who talk on a daily basis about planning, response, and other logistics that would need to be considered if the coronavirus was detected in the area.
I know there's stuff with with UConn students going back from Italy, and with that, if I hear anything about in Connecticut, I might just not come to school.
Students a part of abroad programs here at UConn, including Italy and South Korea, had been required to return to the U.S. and to be quarantined for a 14-day period, while closely monitoring for symptoms of the illness. These students are able to complete their coursework back in the States for the term and earn grades via online and remote learning. Spokesperson Stephanie Reitz explains in an email, "These students are an important part of the UConn community, and their health and safety is our highest priority. Although they must remain off campus during the 14-day self-quarantine period, the university has assured them it will do all it can to help with concerns and questions." After the announcement of the confirmed case of the virus at UMass Boston, students are now nervous about the proximity of the virus to the UConn campus.
It's definitely nerve-wracking, I'll be honest with you, because it's just so close.
That is kind of terrifying because now we're kind of surrounded by it.
UConn students are aware of practicing good hygiene.
My mom told me to start washing my hands a lot more than I even do right now, and to start wiping down everything.
But they are not taking the recommended steps of social distancing and avoiding public places. As the coronavirus continues to spread, the best thing students can do is frequently wash your hands and do not share things with others. If you think you are developing symptoms such as a cough, a fever, or shortness of breath, call ahead to Student Health Services. For UConn News, I'm Reagan Chiappa.
Most people think they're doing good by wearing a face mask to prevent the spread of coronavirus, but the U.S. Surgeon General says you may actually be increasing your risk of infection if not worn correctly. During an interview Monday morning, the Surgeon General, Dr. Jerome Adams, said people who don't know how to properly wear a medical mask tend to touch their faces a lot and can increase the risk of disease spreading. Adams has actually said to just practice proper hygiene rather than buying face masks.
Connecticut businesses dependent upon snow are struggling this season with the lack of wintry weather. January was the warmest January on record. Clothing stores have had their worst month in 10 years because shoppers are holding off on purchasing winter-dependent items like coats. The mild winter has had a huge impact on the Manchester Landscaping Company. They say they usually have as many as 70 customers in the area each year. This winter, it's been far from. Snowplow drivers and ski resorts are hoping to see the snowfall in the last few weeks of winter.
WFSB reports that a huge crowd is expected to voice their opinions Monday on the legalization of marijuana. The latest plan would allow adults 21 and older to have up to 1.5 ounces of marijuana from licensed retailers. The plan would put an additional 25% tax on top of the state's sales tax. This could create a $71 million in revenue in the first year. Governor Ned Lamont and Democratic leaders support the bill, but critics warn it could impact health and lead to more crashes.
UConn students Damon Reynolds and Ethan Worcester are the ballot to be on the next Board of Trustee undergraduate student representative. Here's UCTV News reporter Luke Hydash.
As the voice of over 20,000 UConn undergraduate students, both Ethan Worcester and Damon Reynolds are running for a spot on the UConn Board of Trustees as the student undergraduate representative.
Ethan Worcester and Damon Reynolds are no strangers to helping better UConn and its students. They've both been very involved in the undergraduate student government, Reynolds as a senator for the School of Business, and Worcester as deputy speaker and an alumni senator. They both agree UConn students face barriers.
And I'm running to make sure that we can remove as many of those barriers to education that most definitely affect every student on this campus in one different way or another.
Talk to student groups, talk to disadvantaged communities, but also people who have a lot of stake in a lot of these issues that are going on.
Those barriers: food insecurity, sustainability at the university, and what they say is most important, mental health of students.
It includes not access to mental health services.
We had 2 recent tragedies over the past couple months, so there's a renewed call for action by a lot of my fellow students, and especially people in the Mental Health Coalition.
Whoever's elected will represent UConn undergrads from Storrs and all of the branch campuses, something they both agree is a challenge they're up for.
The person who sits in the undergraduate trustee position, they represent the 23,000 people across the 5 campuses. So I'd be representing people Stanford to Avery Point, Waterbury to Harvard.
We have to always exceed that bar and do more and more every day we can. And I think that's something I'm going to continue doing as a student trustee.
Not just at Storrs with the student groups I've met, but across the 4 campuses, because we need to have one UConn when we're representing voices at the table. I'm going to have them on that council and make sure I get their input when an issue comes up.
Now, students can go online to vote this coming Tuesday, March 3rd to Thursday, March 5th from noon to noon at vote.uconn.edu. For UCTV News, I'm Luke Hydash.
Today, there are only 5 candidates left in the Democratic race for president. Over the weekend, both businessman Tom Steyer and South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg announced that they are ending their campaigns. On Monday, Senator Amy Klobuchar followed the suit. That leaves only Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Tulsi Gabbard, and Michael Bloomberg left on the ballot for Super Tuesday and beyond. Connecticut's primary is April 28th.
Service dogs are helping veterans with physical and emotional scars, thanks to a nonprofit organization in Winchester, Connecticut. WTNA shares that Jim Foley, who has been in combat with the first Iraq War, is working with Emoji, a service dog in training. Foley has been dealing with flashbacks and nightmares while living alone until he heard about Educated Canines Assisting with Disabilities, or the ECAD. The dogs can help with physical challenges and psychological ones, and that is where Emoji shines. Foley explains, if I have a nightmare in the middle of the night, she can take me out of that and bring me back to here and now. And something good to end tonight on. How rare is it for a leap day baby, Reagan? It's pretty rare, right?
Yeah, well, get this. One family from Brooklyn, New York has had not 1, but 2 babies in the leap year. NBC New York reports that the oldest daughter, Omri, was born 4 years ago on February 29th, and the youngest, Scout, was born this past leap day.
Well, how about that? The parents say they plan to celebrate the oldest daughter's birthday on February 28th and the younger one on March 1st.
Wow, that's great. Well, that'll do it for us tonight here at UCTV News. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at UCTV News 14 and on our YouTube page.
We'll see you next time. Good night.